Jesus never made anybody suffer so God would get glory out of it. There are so many things where we deny the Lord Jesus because we don't believe, according to Hebrews 1:3, that he is the exact representation of God. So we get misinformation and we start entertaining that misinformation. And as we begin to think on this and ponder on this, it starts to affect the beliefs of our heart. So when we begin to consider this, then we go into wavering. Now, wavering is just exactly what it sounds like. And the example that the book of James uses is like a boat that keeps rocking back and forth because it's tossed back and forth by the waves. And it's called wavering. Now, in the Greek, the word wavering is very different than the word unbelief. It's very different than the word being tempted. You say, what do you mean being tempted? Well, actually, when we consider things that are inconsistent with who God is, and we begin to ponder on them, then we're giving into a temptation to feed our unbelief, probably because we're afraid to believe, we're afraid to step out. But anyhow, so it's a process. Now, when you're wavering, it's really interesting because to waver really means to shift between two different points. And that's what, again, that goes back to the whole idea of a boat rolling on top of the waves. And so that's us shifting from one thought, one opinion over to another opinion. And, the book of James tells us this. He says, now listen, and I put the now listen in there. That's not really there. If any of you lacks wisdom, let him ask of God, who gives to all liberally and without reproach, and it will be given to him. But let him ask in faith with no doubting, for he who doubts is like a wave of the sea driven and tossed by the wind. Let not that man suppose that he will receive. Now, it's kind of interesting. The word receive in the Greek is nearly always the word lambano. It's not a passive receiving, it's a taking hold of something. And we take hold of God's promises by our faith.